I think we have everyone here. Are we broadcasting?
It's 11, so I'm sure we are.
So we're good? Okay.
Tyler was here.
Was he here? Okay.
Yeah.
Normally I can look at him and get kind of a thumbs up. So I will assume we are. Chair recognizes the manager for the overview of the agenda.
Thank you. Page 1, just a reminder, we now are bringing the public agenda back, and we have two people that have actually been waiting to get in front of you. So
Will they be at Century 2?
they'll be at Century 2 for this meeting, yes. That's all I have on page 1. On page 2, number 1, new business. This company, ACT, is proposing a $2.8 million project to build a 20,000 square foot headquarters. This is to issue IRBs for that project. They would qualify for an 80% abatement under our new formula. This is the first project that we would apply the new formula to. They would create 10 new positions over a 5-year period.
Is now joining.
Will there be a comparison between our new formula and the old formula?
There is.
Yeah, it's in the green sheet as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Again, this is a great opportunity to help a small business, which probably would not receive, it would be difficult for small businesses under our old approach. Number 2 is funding. Council is being asked to approve $8 million budget for phase 2 of the Aquatics Master Plan implementation. This is for the reconstruction of the Manissa and Harvest pools and for the construction of water playground at Linwood. There also is an amendment to the artist contract by about $16,000. Number 3 is approving the budget for the Pawnee project from 119th to 135th Street. It would be a $1.7 million budget, and also asking you in advance to increase the change order limit for that project. Number 4 is a competitive grant application to provide 3-year grant funding for ICT-1. Remember, we've been doing that as a pilot project and just grabbing resources as we could in order to prove the concept. Now we'd like to get a grant to help us for the 3 years. On page 3, number 5, this is the use of about $209,000 in CARES Act funding that we've received through housing for the placement of caseworkers with 3 agencies that serve the homeless. We're really hopeful about the impact of this program, and we'll be measuring the impact during this period. Number 6 is a substantial amendment to the annual action plan and also to the consolidated plan to reflect the ESG and CDBG funds that we received from the CARES Act. Primarily helps agencies serving the homeless, DV shelters or domestic violence shelters, and then some other COVID-19 related responses as they apply to low and moderate income residents. Number 7 is a contract for outside counsel. Has to do with our state revolving loan fund application with KDHE for the water treatment plant. Our regular bond counsel also serves the state, and so they have asked us to have, they believe there's a conflict and asked us to get outside attorney to help to handle our part of the transaction. Number 8 is reflective of a request from some of you to find another way to help residents during this COVID-19 period, and primarily our low income residents. Mike Tan with Transit has recommended that we go to a reduced pass program between now and August 18th. And it would be 20 passes for $20. So we get down to just $1 for a trip. Estimated cost is about $65,000, and that would be paid for, or be paid from our CARES Act funding. And number 9 is asking the council to approve the RFP criteria that we would use for the construction of the Police Patrol East Station. This is a CMAR, or Construction Manager at Risk project, and under the charter ordinance that you approved, the council must approve the selection criteria before we go out for proposals.
Oh, I have a question on this one,
Yes.
and I know the next one's the CMAR.
Yes.
Is there a scoring rubric for the criteria? So I know it says, for example, GMP and alternate cost and value engineering ideas, that's 55%.
Right.
But is there a rubric that says, you know, they meet it by doing this, they partially meet it, they don't meet it?
No, well, it's subjective for the members of the selection committee, and there's
Okay.
usually criteria what this means. There's a definition, right?
A definition,
But it-
okay.
Yes, and then each person scores independently based on their definition, the definition's been provided.
Okay,
And then at the end, they put together a composite score.
all right, thank you.
That's all I have on page 3. On page 4, same issue with the aviation fuel storage project at Eisenhower Airport. You'd be approving the CMAR criteria there.
And then I have a question on that one.
Yes.
So that one, there are no percentages with criteria in the agenda report.
Right, and if, we'll go ahead and we'll get that, we'll make sure that's in the
Okay,
presentation.
thanks.
Okay. Number 2 is a hangar lease at Eisenhower, 5-year term with 5 5-year options. I don't have anything on page 5. On page 6, just one item. 3A is our annual contract to document our water volumes in Equispeds. That's part of our licensing requirement with the state. On page 7, number 5 is the receipt of a grant, $109,000 for overtime costs associated with our staff members that are part of the high-intensity drug trafficking area task force. Number 6 is a grant application. We're asking for the funds in conjunction or in cooperation with Garden City's Police Department and Wichita State. This is a gang enforcement effort to reduce violent crime. It would be a Department of Justice grant. Number 7 is a request, public safety request for funding, grant funding, $460,000 to assist us with PPE expenses, laptop and training software for the police department, and then also training equipment for the fire department. Number 8 is a $700,000 grant application for a 2-person unit to help reduce aggravated assaults in the community. We will be working with Wichita State University in the design of the program as well as the evaluation at the end. That's all I have on page 7. Page 8, just one item, that's number 10. And there we're asking the council to approve a number of statutory and regulatory waivers that have been suggested and granted by HUD in response to COVID-19. That is all I have.
Questions?
Yeah, I don't know if this is completely connected, but the coronavirus emergency supplemental funding, have we talked with Wichita State about maybe using Go Create and the 3D printers on doing some of this too? I know that Dr. Golden at one point was doing some of that.
The PPE?
Yeah, like face shields and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure who we're gonna use as suppliers, and some of this would be to reimburse us for expenses that we've had, if I remember correctly, and then for ongoing. We have a long list of suppliers. As I understand it, that may not be the best use. Go Create, there may be others who are producing on a more significant scale.
Any discussion or announcements? Seeing none, we will have on June 10th our first ethics retreat, so that should be fun. So June 10th, right?
Yep.
Just double checking. And I believe we will have Ed O'Malley will be volunteering as a coordinator to help us facilitate those discussions.
Cool.
Anything else? See none. With that, we're adjourned.
Thank you.